Today we have Jane Mackenzie from South Africa for our show. Jane, I mean, you're an amazing person. You're a good friend of mine. But first of all, you are somebody. You're a well-being coach who has too many hats. You are a board certified pharmacist, acupuncturist, live blood analysis, quantum coach, buff flower essence, many interesting things, and also food state nutrition. Uh, Before we start, happy Easter. We are going through some.
Thank you to you as well.
Thank you. We are going through as whole planet some very challenging times, but at the same time quite amazing as well for us to discover more and more about humanity, about our limits. We're talking to many people from all over the world. First of all, Jane, nowadays people are more conscious about their well-being, and you're a well-being coach for more than 30 years, as I said. You talk about food state nutrition. Can you please tell our audience what it means to have food state nutrition?
Okay. This is something I think humanity has to almost relearn, because our ancestors only consumed food state nutrients. So we decided we were a little bit cleverer than nature and a little bit cleverer than our body, and we started making synthetic products, synthetic medicine, synthetic supplements. And in fact, when we have a look at the reality at global health at the moment, the hospitals are overflowing. I mean, we can't even find a cure for the COVID virus right now. So we have to take a few steps back and say, hold on, what's really out of alignment right now? And I like to look very holistically at the body, and no body is the same. And that's why sometimes I will use the different disciplines that I've studied to get the desired result which we want, which is total body alignment. Now, specifically, the food state nutrients are exactly as nature intended in the universal pharmacy, grown according to natural laws and the cosmos, if you like, and the seasons. So when we consume a food state nutrient, let's say a spirulina that's grown on a lake, that is a natural product, okay? And then when we consume something like spirulina that's only been dried, nothing else has happened to it, the body will receive the spirulina instantly and it will know exactly what to do with it. It doesn't actually need to transform it in any way. And it literally, it's just an electrical reaction that happens, and the body gets healthy. So remember also that a spirulina won't only do one thing. It's going to do a whole lot of things. It's going to bring protein in. It's going to bring vitamins. It's going to bring long-chain sugars. It's also minerals and also phytonutrients. So it basically gets going in the body as nature intended, allowing the body's innate potential to heal. That's the bottom line.
So is it in a way that you're saying that, our bodies are like, they have this innate wisdom. So whatever we introduce to our bodies, we have this innate wisdom kind of scans and knows.
Absolutely. The body will know, and that's attributable to the successes that I have, because I'm working with nature and with the body in a holistic, quantum, interdependent, interconnected space, you see. Yes. And we bring in food state things such as a flaxseed oil. It's got the highest electron spin. Let's just talk about what I mean when I say an electron spin. So in the middle of an atom, you have a proton and a neutron, and then it's circulating around it. You have an electron field, right? Yeah. The tighter that field is to the neutron and the proton, the higher the frequency of the electroceutical. So everything, all food is electrons. It's just different forms with different speeds. So the intelligent person, the wide awake person, will consume foods that have a very high electron spin, because first of all, they need less, but second of all, it's going to give them more energy.
Yes.
It's going to boost the immune system.
Actually, yeah. The thing is, there has been a big debate about food industry and wheat and too many different things nowadays that, if you look at allergies, many people have allergies, known or unknown. Is it because of the food our food habit we have been taking up recently, the recent years. When I say recent, maybe the last 20 years, 15 years.
Well, the reality is that we decided we were cleverer than nature and our bodies, and we started manufacturing things, manufacturing medicines, manufacturing foods, putting foods through processes that denature the food, devalue the food from an electron spin, from a nutritional point of view. We factory farmed things. We tried to produce things en masse, and we actually lost the essence of nutrition. And this is why our hospitals are overflowing, and this is why we can't find cures for things, and why the health has got out of control, quite frankly. I mean, it's in chaos at the moment, and everybody's now trying to find the way to realign themselves, and the clues are in nature, most definitely. So we manufactured it, and in that manufacturing process, I agree with you, that is when things like food intolerances and allergies came in. So we can be food intolerant to, let's say, chicken or something, but it might be the additives that was added into the chicken meal that was put together, or the biscuits that you're eating, or whatever it is that the meal that you decide to eat. So we have to be careful. What manufacturers did is they added synthetic additives, synthetic preservatives, synthetic fillers and binders to products, and that disturbed the entire body. It disturbed the microbiome, the gastrointestinal tract. And I think the beginning and end of this discussion today is actually about the microbiome, because you know, this is what these foreign foods do. They disturb it, they distort it. And also, what we do is we also eat eggs every single day of the year. We don't stand back and say, but hold on, in nature, a normal chicken won't lay every single day. They will lay eggs when the diet is right, when the planetary alignment is correct, when the seasons are right, and all the rest of it. They know innately when to lay their eggs, and that is when we should be eating them, not every single day. So we've distorted, because of the abundance of food. We've never had so much food, but we've never actually been so unhealthy. We've distorted this whole natural thing. And that's why I'm saying we need to get back to the space where we in tune intuitively with what our body needs.
Actually, Jane, you are one of these most interesting people that, I have come across. You are not only a board certified pharmacist, but also you combine all these, in a way, methods to your system. So when you talk about food state nutrition, as we understand, everything that we introduce to our body, everything has a frequency. Some has lower frequency, some has higher frequency. Can you talk more about higher frequency food, but we can find generally? For instance, I'm in Turkey, I live in London, but right now I'm in Istanbul. Not that we all have access to food, this kind of food. So can you please tell more accessible food state nutrition?
With pleasure. And I mean, that's what I use on a day-to-day basis to bring people back into alignment. Hippocrates said, let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. And I honestly believe that what was intended here was these higher frequency, high food state nutrients in particular, because there's a big difference between what lettuce and tomatoes and the kind of a feta cheese are going to do versus something like a medicinal mushroom. And there's a few of them. There's reishi mushrooms, chaga, shiitake, cordyceps, lion's mane, to mention a few. And these are very, as Maya says, very high frequency foods. The electron spin is very tight around the molecule. So now we're understanding when we're talking about electroceuticals and high frequencies. So these particular molecules and atoms in these foods are what are going to realign the body very quickly. And they use a very small amount of the body's energy. In fact, they give more energy than they take to get digested and metabolized. We are talking about some everyday foods that do this.
Yeah.
Number one is a flaxseed oil. Flaxseed oil, cold pressed, no air and no light either. So we have to be careful, because oil will go into the trans fat state very quickly. So there's 3 things we want to avoid with the oil. And that cold pressed flaxseed oil has got the highest electron spin of all the oils. Just to tell you, that oil is a remarkable oil, particularly now when we have infections that are rife around the world and all the rest of it sitting in lockdown. That oil is critical to line the mucous membrane of the lungs, the gut as well. Remember, the cell membrane is made up of a double lipid layer, a double fat layer. We need the cold pressed oil for that. We also need the cold pressed oil to come in and bathe the brains, the omegas that are in a perfect form in the flaxseed oil, perfect form for the body to take up, the 3, 6, and 9. So also the natural enzymes in a cold pressed oil will allow that oil to be digested and metabolized. And I don't see little globules under my microscope when people take the cold pressed oil, and I do when they take other oils. And we have to be careful, because I'm finding today that there's cold pressed and cold pressed, and some of the cold pressed oil is being exposed to light and air.
Is it flaxseed oil? Will it be good for like omega-3, because we need omega-3, omega-6? Also, there's a debate about omega forms, which one is better or not. And also, you talk about no light. Can you talk about what do you mean by no light?
So when oil is exposed to light, it will transform into the trans oil state, which is the same state as when it's heated, and it's the same state as when air, oxygen, comes into contact with it. So if the producer is not being very careful and leaves the barrels open, the air and the light come in and affect the oil. Oil is a very unstable product, nutrient, and we need to treat it like that, and it needs to be stored in a dark cupboard, away from light. So we need to treat it like that. So we started with the oil because it's very critical. It's very critical for our immune systems right now. We need it. Also bearing in mind that the virus is attaching to the cell membrane, and every membrane needs to be perfectly for the cell division must be a perfect division.
So what I understand from our conversation, you say that flaxseed oil or any kind of cold pressed oil should be kept in a kind of dark cupboard rather than in open air or in the open. So it should be kept in the darkness.
Definitely, and at room temperature as well, because the fridge has got its own electromagnetic field which interferes with the electrons in the oil. So just to throw that in a little bit as well, I'll just keep it out of the fridge. It doesn't need to be in the fridge at all.
Okay, I have a question to ask. I mean, I know flaxseed oil is good. For instance, I'm taking flaxseed oil cold press, a good brand, a tablespoon every day. Is it okay? Too much, too little? What do you think?
So that's a very good question. I think too much oil is when it starts coming out of your pores, and I've never seen anybody taking too much oil. Okay, and every time when I do go onto my Educta Quantum device, just about 99% of the time, people need these the fatty acids from the flaxseed oil. The body is asking all the time for these oils. So you can go up to 4 tablespoons a day.
Really?
Saturate the body, and you can come down a little bit to about 2. So I mean, what I'm telling my clients and patients right now is go and buy every bottle that you can, because this is one of our protection shields. And just by the way, it has a massive antioxidant effect, and it also thins the blood, because it goes and scavenges the old pieces of oil that are floating around. So I mean, we've just talked about one beautiful food state nutrient, and I mean there's many, and I mean each one is a whole topic on their own. I mean we talked about the medicinal mushrooms having multiple effects on the body in conjunction with the oil, so these things potentiate each other. We can look at the blue-green algae, Chlorella spirulina. They have also, again, depending on the dosage, sometimes they will be feeding, and other times they will be detoxifying the body.
So you are definitely, saying that food should be used as medicine.
Most definitely. That's what it was there for. It is here to heal us, and I've seen it. I mean, if I look at the blood profile under the microscope of somebody before they start on food state nutrients, nourishing the cell, detoxifying the cell, boosting the immune system. If I look at the red cells, the white blood cells, it's chalk and cheese. It's completely different once that body's nourished, and also the ability for that cell then to detox. So that we're always balancing nourishment and detoxification, and these products do it. The medicinal mushrooms, the blue-green algae and things, lion's mane, cordyceps, blue-green algae, royal jelly, they will stimulate the body's natural ability to produce adult stem cells. How amazing is that? And we need the stem cells.
Actually, talking about, I mean, you are giving us some very important information. Talking about royal jelly and propolis, how important it is to use them as well. Actually, I will be asking you, obviously we haven't talked about COVID-19 yet, but also I will be asking you a kind of recipe for our immune system nowadays. But before that, can we talk about a little bit more about royal jelly and propolis?
And if we can also speak about the bee pollen, because those three are kind of, you know, together with what the bee will give us. And those products in particular now are incredible because they boost our immune system. It's a complete form of amino acids across all the essential amino acids. So you're getting all the building block proteins that we need. Okay, the bee pollen has got something like 5,000 natural enzymes. And
really?
Anybody, for all the enzymatic processes in the body, and anybody with a lung infection needs enzymes because enzymes bring in oxygen. And if you've read a lot of the posts that are going around, the most ones that are making most sense, common sense, are the ones that are saying that, hold on, actually, it's oxygen deprivation that's the problem, and that is the problem.
Yes, yes.
So something like a bee pollen or royal jelly, propolis will bring in oxygen into the body because of the enzymatic effects. One of the things, they will build the immunity, they will build connective tissue, they therefore start restoring the body automatically of their own ability to do that. So one of my favorites, obviously fertility and that included, very important for fertility. And yes, I think if somebody from an immunity point of view, if you wanted to get hold of some bee pollen, propolis or royal jelly is more on the expensive side just because there's less of it. That's what the queen bee eats, okay? So the queen bee gets the, yeah. But even, especially bee pollen, you can get it in a powder or in those little granules, and a teaspoon of that a day would be unbelievable, even if you are allergic to it, because what happens is that the body will get used to it. So start off with a little bit, a few granules, and then build up to the teaspoonful. And actually what's happening is your body's detoxifying. So we said some oil every day, some blue bee pollen, royal jelly, propolis.
I need to ask a question, because when we talk about royal jelly, bee pollen, and also propolis, nowadays there's some forms, they mix three of them all together, like, you know, you get everything in one either form. Which one do you suggest? Which is better for us to take? Three of them together or in one kind of formula?
Okay, it's hard for me to answer in that sense because I have all four forms. I have three individually and I have the combination as well. So if affordability is something to consider, then get all three, because it will be a slightly more cost-effective way of getting the best of the best. And they will potentiate each other. Potentiation means 3 plus 3 is 9. So not 3 plus 3 is 6. So yes, so that's a very good combination. However, if you have lots of degenerative tissue, my go-to for that is my number one thing is royal jelly. And my next thing is almost gold, which we'll probably get to a little bit later, but that's a rejuvenating elixir. So the royal jelly is the one that will produce more egg cells. In 1 month, egg cell production can go from 2 to 22. I have live cases right in front of me because of its ability to stimulate the stem cells. So that one is the strongest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so flaxseed, bee pollen, propolis, royal jelly, and what else? I know the list is quite long.
So I would say regarding in the food state realm, we need to bring in again the 3 algae, the blue-green algae, spirulina and chlorella, which I have also individually and together, because some of them do different things in the same ways as the pollen, propolis and royal jelly do different things. So the blue-green algae from Lake Klamath is the royal jelly of the algae, put it that way. And it also has a, a cost implication. But the blue-green algae will actively produce adult stem cells. It activates the bone marrow to produce the white blood cells as well. And it also works very specifically on the brain with DHEA, alanine PEA, so the neurotransmitters. It is food for the brain. All right.
When you talk about DHEA, I have a question to ask, because DHEA is sometimes, introduced to people with low hormone levels. So is it good, rather than use DHEA as a hormone state, to use blue-green algae?
Yeah, most definitely. It's DHA. The molecule is almost DHEA.
Perfect.
So, I mean, that would be a whole topic on its own, how to naturally provide the body with the building blocks to build hormones. So it's definitely in that space for the estrogen and the testosterone.
Yes. Maybe one topic will be next time will be like these hormone levels. Yes, again, I am with you.
So when you start consuming these kind of food state nutrients, you don't need to reach for the synthetic supplement. And there's studies, many studies and research that's been done that shows that actually these so-called natural supplements are not actually food state. All right. So that's an important thing. And again, we can talk about supplementation versus food state, in programs to come. But I want the listeners to be very aware that when we're dealing with a whole food like this, it's going to bring in naturally vitamin B, vitamin C, phytonutrients, minerals, long-chain sugars. A long-chain sugar is not sweet. It's for the brain. It builds the brain. And anyone with attention deficit and focus concentration problems needs the long-chain sugar for brain development. All babies, all pregnant women need this. And as well as the protein building blocks for immunity, enzymes, hormones, neurotransmitters. So they're all working in a very powerful way, and less is more. You don't need huge amounts because the body takes it and it uses it straight away.
True.
And and there's another a big area as well when we're looking at food states and we're looking at the pollens and things, is just not to forget the phytonutrients that you find in many adaptogenic herbs, because they're becoming more also on the nutrient wavelength now, as opposed to only being herbal. They do bring in, and across the spectrum. I mean, I've got a product that has the colors of the spectrum in it, from raw cacao, which is the brownie, to baobab, which is cream, to golden turmeric, to green tea, to all the fruits in the trufala, the amlas, to the beautiful purple acai berries. So these colored products are bringing in the phytonutrients as nature intended, in the molecular format that the body can recognize immediately. Okay, and then you can see improvements under the microscope.
Actually, this is amazing that you're talking about. I mean, I also regularly use raw cacao, all these things, and there's this interesting debate with turmeric. Turmeric is very good for immune system, and there's golden turmeric. But recently I was talking to a professor from Imperial College, and we were discussing what is good nowadays to boost our immune system, and he said too much turmeric is not very good because it is overstimulating the immune system. And nowadays people are a little bit panicking that we will be talking because all of a sudden we kind of have a wake-up call, Jane. What is happening with my immune system? Oh my God, in a way, for me, it is a good thing because people are waking up to a new reality, right? And because before they weren't thinking, reading, listening to this kind of conversations. What do you think?
Well, you know, I work at one of the top natural pharmacies in South Africa. It's a sensory overload. It's got whatever you need, and I've traveled around the world, so it really is a superior pharmacy. And I also speak to representatives and I see the products on the shelves. Now, what's happened, and I'm really pleased you brought up turmeric, is because there's a whole lot of research. Manufacturers have brought out and research and convinced people that you need to have this form or that form, or they're thinking that they're cleverer than nature. So therefore, they trick the body into absorbing the turmeric. Right? Look at these wonderful blood levels. The problem is, what is the body going to do with all that? Because it was tricked into absorbing it. When you take pure, natural, organically grown turmeric, the body will take what it needs. It's like standing on the ground. Your body will absorb the electrons that it needs, and that's it. When you're taking something in the food state form, you are not going to get a kidney problem. You are not going to get inflammation. You cannot. The body will excrete what it doesn't need. And I'm really grateful you brought that up, because, again, just don't try and second guess things that are in the universal pharmacy.
True. Actually, I mean, there are many topics that I would like to talk to you, and you have your own brand, 365 Healthy by Choice, and also I love your products. And you talk about gold. It is important. Can you please tell us a little bit about gold and how important it is?
Gold is obviously a nutrient. It also has detoxification effects. Again, it's related to dosage. Every single cell of the body needs gold inside it and around it. And unfortunately, due to manufacturing and farming, the soil is not as full of compost and humus as it should be to produce what we call an almost gold, which is not the periodic table three-dimensional gold. This is more in an M-state gold, right? And if the soil would normally produce it, it would then move into the plants, and then we would consume it ourselves. And at the moment, it's completely deficient. So we do make it. It's an alchemical process, which is salt to gold. And when you consume that, there again, it's in the perfect form for the body. It doesn't need the liver to digest it or anything. It literally goes to where it's called first, and it will start nourishing the cells and detoxifying the cells. And Maya, this effect is instant. You can do the live blood before, and you can do it 5 or 10 minutes afterwards, and you can see. I can do a measure. You can see the cells. They have a zeta potential. They're all separate, and the white blood cell becomes huge and starts moving across the field, across the slide. And similarly, on the quantum skier or reductor, I can see the resonance frequency picks up immediately too. So these things, what I'm talking to you about, I've measured. I'm a very grounded pharmacist, but in a natural space, because when I started studying, I wanted to look at the foods, at nature. I wanted to look at affecting a natural cure, because I knew somewhere along the line that the body had got out of alignment for certain reasons. There were root causes, and let me get to find out those root causes, be able to validate the risk factors, and move forward. So everything I do, I measure, is what I'm really saying to you.
I know. This is great.
Yes. So this gold is, as I say, it's absolutely critical. The gold crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it detoxifies immediately heavy metals, insecticides, parasites, whatever has the wrong charge, whatever matter is in the body with the wrong charge and the wrong spin, it will degenerate, go for the degenerative tissue. That's why I use the almost gold with the royal jelly as the two main products I have for degenerative tissue, because I get the best results, even with things like fibroids, and intensive scarring, and as I say, the degenerative tissue and cells, organs. So it's a very special product. We actually keep it in a tin foil because of the electron density of it and the spin, because those electrons don't stay in the bottle. They will actually move across on the shelf, and they will move into all the products.
Can we see a bottle? Do you have a
So,
bottle? Can we have it like towards it, with like maybe yes, perfect. Okay, great. Can we order this online?
You can. There's an online shop, and you know, we distribute to most countries right now. And just to say, also for bone and joints,
yes,
the Almost Gold is amazing. Most people are coming in, especially for bone and joint as well, but for immunity right now. So Maya, when I look at my toolkit, I will use the oils, I will use the Ormus, I will use the food state nutrients with adaptogenic herbs as well. I will use a paramagnetic rock, which is a zeolite, which has its own way of attracting and pulling out the wrongly charged matter.
Yep.
I will use my quantum device, which also in the quantum frequencies will nourish the cells and clean them. And then I will also use loads of oxygen, because oxygen is king.
Of course.
Yes. In fact, we think we need oxygen because we need to breathe. We do, but we need oxygen to detoxify us. Yes. In 3 minutes, we stop detoxifying and we die. That's what happens. And that's how important and critical each breath is. And it's very important, this whole breathing thing right now, because most of us shallow breathe, and we don't breathe in deep enough, and we definitely don't breathe out. So that carbon dioxide is remaining inside our bodies, making us acidic, which is a perfect environment for germs and infections. So when I look at
certain therapy, it is very important to tell the audience there are too many breathing techniques. I mean, as somebody who is also working energy, mind, and body level, there's so many techniques, but it is important for a basic breath to take the whole breath towards your kind of stomach.
Yes.
Your third chakra, and like have full breath, and then kind of give it out, like inhale full and exhale like maybe slower. If you go through these exercises, even 5 minutes a day, it will create a tremendous change.
It will create an enormous change in the body, and the posture needs to be straight. Otherwise, we're cramping not only the stomach, not only the diaphragm, not only the colon, but also, the lungs. So posture is critical, and I think it's about being conscious of our breath right now, and and being conscious, and when we're introspective. I think, Maya, it's more your area, but when people meditate and things, the focus is on the breath in the beginning.
Yeah.
And so the breath of life, and this is where I'm coming from. Let's give the beautiful body that we have the oxygen it needs, and the food it needs, and the water that it needs in the right structural form.
Jane, actually, it's been amazing. And as I said to you, we will be talking more about detoxification, EMF, electromagnetic field, and many things. But before we wrap up today, I want to ask you, because today, more and more people we see, they are on low frequency because they're panicking, anxiety, which is quite normal. Can you suggest any food or any food state nutrition for mental health?
So that's a great question. What I find is, when somebody comes to see me and we start, we work out the root causes of disease, whatever it might be. We validate the risk factors, and then we start realigning the body. What I find is, if that body is nourished, the cells are nourished, and the body is detoxifying on a regular basis, the frequency will come up. Okay, when that resonance frequency comes up and your electron spin around you the electrons get closer to you, it's very difficult for fear and depression to actually enter into the space. It doesn't resonate at that resonance. So as people nourish their bodies and clean their bodies, you find that those emotions don't appear anymore. They don't wake up panicking in the middle of the night. So very important right now. Don't reach for the white bread and the sugar and the Coke and the cakes and the biscuits and things. Reach for wholesome food because it's going to hold you together emotionally. Is that what you...
Yes, it's amazing. Actually, we human beings, we should be more intertwined with planet, the world, because I feel that, the recent years we have been becoming more victim of our own lifestyles, life, career, life spines and everything.
Yeah.
But I think that this time it is also giving us a kind of opportunity to rearrange our lives, our thinking, our philosophy about how we live and everything.
Most absolutely, definitely. I mean, there's a huge gift for almost the humanities reset, and an opportunity for us to deconstruct so that we can reconstruct and enter into the new paradigm shift. And the kind of chaos we're seeing now is exactly what I'm speaking about, so that we can shift into a new paradigm. And the new paradigm, we're going to need the new frequency, high frequency food state foods. I mean, we haven't even talked about, good probiotics and live probiotics, also very important for this gut microbiome. So we need to just focus on that immune system emotionally, neurologically, physically, and even spiritually, so that we can move forward and not be swayed by the various things that are getting spoken about out there, and be introspective. The other saying is physician, heal thyself. And I honestly believe that. I honestly believe if we break this down into common sense, we inherently know this. And I suggest to everybody, go and find yourself a few seeds, whether it's tomatoes, beans, spinach, and just grow something right now, because putting your hands in the soil, your feet in the soil, is going to ground you, and it's going to get you into contact with nature and the earth and the planets, really.
It is amazing because, right now we are in lockdown state in Istanbul, and I have been working from home, and sometimes 24 hours is not enough. And my mother does exactly what you've been saying. She plays with soil, and she has her own kind of food from our pot. But it's a balcony. But she has she's doing so much, with her talents, I would say. And we have fresh things from her pots, which is amazing. I think that, nowadays we are relearning and reintroducing to our system and humanity back to basics. What do you think?
Yeah, totally. And it's not an old-fashioned thing. It's common sense.
Yeah.
What you put into your body is going to manifest in your thoughts and what you do. Rudolf Steiner. I mean, that's exactly what it amounts to. So they've looked at studies where they've looked at criminals and their diet, and what actually pushed them into that space emotionally and all the rest of it. And then you look at how some people where a criminal thought wouldn't enter their head, for example, just to bring that in. It really does anchor our emotions and what we do and think. And yeah, I mean, get the pots on the balcony, of course.
Yes, yes.
People can have even those wall hanging wall gardens too.
True. It is true. Jane, it's been wonderful to talk to you. I know our audience will be interested in maybe more conversations regarding different topics. And I know that you have an amazing website. If they want to check your website, can we have your website? What is it?
It's www.365 Healthy by Choice.
Perfect.
And the 365, Maya, is that we have the choice 365 days a year to choose to be healthy or not. And we focus on prevention rather than waiting for when it's too late. So that's my mindset. Yeah.
That is amazing, Jane. It was great to talk to you, and speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.